The life of a horse person comes with many surprises. Sometimes those surprises are really positive, and sometimes they are negative. This video here is to show you how a potentially negative situation can be positive for everybody involved, especially for the horse. My horse Sanson has been developing a lump on his eyelid for the last year, and over the last 3 months it really started to grow bigger. The lump was causing some eye irritation and conjunctivitis, which is an irritation of the conjunctiva, which is a film that protects the eye, which we were treating almost every day with antibiotic eye drops. We know what happens when eyes get irritated chronically. You can cause blindness, damage to the vision, or even the loss of the eye entirely. And I simply can't afford that. Not with any horse, and especially not with my Sunny. Some people would look at a small lump on the eye as not a big deal and only address it if it became a big problem. Even the vet we have just worked with, he showed me photographs of some of the other horses whose eyes he had worked on, and I couldn't believe the size of the lumps these horses were dealing with, and how a horse owner could wait until something became so unmanageable before they took action. I prefer to be proactive for my horse's health rather than reactive, so I consulted with our vet, and our vet connected us with a specialist surgeon, someone who deals with horses' eyes all the time. Speaking on the phone with this surgeon, he recommended to bring Sanson to a hospital in Cordoba, which is 4 or 5 hours drive away from our current rental property here in the Granada province. And again, most horse owners would blindly obey the recommendations of a veterinary surgeon, right? But I informed him that our current rental home is very remote, and though the home is almost accessible by most four-wheel drive cars, to transport a horse requires that we hand walk the horses across no less than 12 water crossings, up a small mountain, up a highway, to a large bus stop where the horses can be loaded to the truck. Then you've got to load them on the truck, then they've got to be transported. Sanson is no sport horse that loads and travels all the time. I've only transported Sanson when we've changed homes. And I've transported Sanson across Europe from Spain to Poland and Poland to Spain and back again. I've sat with him in bus stops in France and Germany. And he has been on a trailer at least 15 times in his life. But I wish to reduce his stress and transport him only if absolutely necessary. So I convinced the surgeon to visit us. And I'm aware that in some places of the world it's super common for horse owners to have trailers and transport their horses all the time. It's just not that common here in Europe for people to transport their horses. Horses tend to stay on their homes here unless they are competing. I know that in America, for example, many vets only receive horses at a clinic. They don't travel at all to see their clients. But here in Spain, it's more common for vets to travel to the horses. It's very uncommon here for horse owners to actually own trailers. But in other places in the world, people don't have horses if they don't have a trailer. So I would love to own a trailer. I would love to have the money to own a trailer, and I would love to be able to have a trailer so that I could transport my horses all the time, go for rides in different locations, and to develop that skill. But when your horse has an undeveloped skill, exposing them to that situation constitutes potentially a behavioral emergency, and I'd like to avoid those as much as possible. Not because there's something wrong with transporting horses, and not because I don't want to transport the horses. It's because it's something we don't do all the time. And when you're looking to transport for a medical concern, unless it's an urgency, I'd rather avoid it. This surgeon, he had performed this procedure on the eye in the field before, but he said that he always prefers to do it in a hospital, which of course he does. He's a surgeon. But once the surgeon arrived here at our current rental farm, he looked at me and he totally agreed. He said, "This is the right place to do it. Thank you for convincing me to come here." So again, many horse owners would blindly obey what their vet recommends. But I personally always see the relationship with a vet or even a doctor for my own health as a collaboration, not a dictatorship. As the owner of the horse, my job is to ensure that the big picture, the overall welfare of the horse is taken into account. And although I appreciate the risks with performing an eye surgery or an eyelid surgery in the field, I was confident that we could manage here at home and that the whole procedure would be more comfortable, safer, with far lower stress for all involved, especially for my horse. And only once the surgeon actually walked in our shoes did he agree with me. So I encourage all horse owners out there to listen very well to their vets, but to make sure that their vets listen to them as well. And to treat your horse's healthcare as a collaboration, to always ask questions, especially the stupid ones. And if your vet doesn't like that or treats you poorly for asking questions or giving feedback, then perhaps it's time to change vets. So, the surgeon, he came out today, in fact, to assess Sanson, and this is how it all went. So here on this farm, my friend who owns this farm has a really nice open air natural stable, which gives us plenty of shade and protection from dust, wind, and insects. And she was kind enough to lend this space to us today, even though her horses use this each day. We were allowed to use this. It's on the same property where we live, so we were allowed to use this space today for the procedure, which was wonderful. So thank you very much. We really appreciate it. And here's the vet on the right, and he's conducting the assessment. There I am in the middle, looking completely exhausted because I am exhausted. Last week I moved homes, actually half moved homes. Moved everything except the horses and myself. So I'm a bit tired today, but I show up anyway. And there on the left we have a student in the blue sweater and then a vet technician there in the black. And he conducted a really thorough assessment of the eye and of Sanson's behavior and demeanor, and very carefully made sure that he felt confident to go ahead, because of course you don't want a nervous horse tossing their head around when you're holding a cutting instrument, surgical instrument, close to their eyeball. That would obviously be not a good idea. He was prepared for a general anesthesia if necessary, but both of us wanted to absolutely not use that. And here's a close-up of the eye, and a little interesting moment here, because he was standing very, very still, and they remarked how calm Sanson was. And I said, no, he's not calm, he's just frozen. He is completely worried and even frightened right now, but he's internalized everything, even though you see an absence of behavior on the outside. And that's the difference between empathy and behavior. Of course, you can look here at the whale eye, the exposed sclera on his widened eye, as an indication of fear. But he was feeling those feelings long before he opened his eye so wide for that photo. And if you've developed your empathy as a horse person, you'll be able to feel these things long before you see these things. That's an essential component of what I teach with emotional horsemanship. So I thought that that was relevant to leave in here for you. So before giving sedation, the vet checked all of his vital signs, his breathing, his heart rate, and made sure that he was healthy. He double checked with me, had this horse had sedation before and how did it go, and he has had sedation before and it was all fine, so we proceeded. A good vet will always triple check everything. So he and I are just having a chat now about stuff, and we're shaving down his face to assist with the sterilization of the area and bacterial control. So off camera, the vet had asked me if I wanted to cross tie him, because in cross ties, we could control the movement of the head. But again, I politely declined to cross tie him because this is something I just never do with this horse. Not because there's anything wrong with cross tying, it's just something I don't do. Living in the countryside and keeping horses in very, very natural and basic conditions means I very seldom have had access to a traditional barn aisle where you can tie a horse's head to a box either side of the horse's head. So because this horse had never been cross-tied, I chose not to do, well, he had not never been cross-tied, it's just not something we do very regularly. He's maybe done it once or twice in his life. So I'm not going to do something for the first time when we're already doing something like a surgery. I'm going to do what the horse knows, and the horse knows my smell, my hands, my voice, my contact, and so I opted to hold him throughout the whole procedure. So now we're washing down the area to help sterilize it, and I'm trying to figure out what's the best way to hold him. Am I going to rest his head on my shoulder? Am I going to hold his nose? Because it's very important that even though he's sedated, he's still very awake. It's very important he doesn't move around during the procedure. That's really crucial today. As emotional support, we had brought up our little friend Caleb here, who was very happy to have a hay net to himself whilst the procedure went on. So I made sure Caleb was always within eyesight because they lived together, and I didn't want Sunny to be on his own in a strange place doing a strange thing, even if he was sedated. And I didn't want Caleb to be calling during the procedure. So Caleb was wonderful all day. So now the surgeon, Jose, is applying a local anesthetic to the area which he is going to operate on, which of course is essential that the horse doesn't feel any pain. They'll feel movement, maybe pressure, but they'll feel absolutely no pain throughout the procedure so that the head can remain still with the aid of sedation. In a vet hospital, he said what he would do for this procedure is a general anesthesia. He would actually lay the horse down completely to be absolutely sure the horse didn't move at all. Like this, when we washed out the eye here, this is washing out with saline solution, and this was the worst Sunny got throughout the whole procedure. He really didn't like having that washed into his eye. This is the worst he got with his behavior throughout the whole procedure. It didn't get worse from here, it only got better, especially once we titrated and corrected the dose of the local anesthetic. So he would do a general anesthesia in a hospital, but the risks of general anesthesia are quite high, and it's a chemical that you only want to put into anybody as a last resort. So I was more than happy to do local here. I also checked with our surgeon Jose if it was okay that I was undressed without gloves, and he said so long as your hand doesn't touch the site, you'll be fine. So I double checked if I needed to wear a mask or gloves or anything. He said no, and then we went ahead and covered him with a sterile what do you call these things? A sterile piece of fabric to help the operation site and to control bacteria. There's like a sticky bit around the eye that like got stuck onto his eye. And I'm just bracing myself for the heaviness that will follow. And I think he was a little sensitive at first, and we needed to titrate. Yes, he's a little sensitive there. So in a minute, he's going to go ahead and include more local anesthetic.
watch the clock ticking off the wall. But tonight I'm letting it go. Spend my coin for sure. I'm gonna be myself, or I could be someone else. No one's stopping me now. I'm gonna skip my breaks, I'm gonna make mistakes. I just wanna feel alive. It's just what I do when I'm out, so try not to hold me down. Feel alive when I'm in this town. Look at these beautiful stars. I wanna drive a faster car. Nothing can break me, no, nothing can break me. Try not to hold me down. Feel alive when I'm in this town. Look at these beautiful stars. I wanna take a trip to Mars. Nothing can break me, no, nothing can break me. Look at these beautiful stars. I wanna drive a faster car. Lay my troubles to rest. Blow the smoke through my cigarette. City lights looking fine, and I know this is my time now. I'm gonna be myself, or I could be someone else. No one's stopping me now. I'm gonna skip my breaks, I'm gonna make mistakes. I just wanna feel alive. It's just what I do when I'm out, so try not to hold me down. Feel alive when I'm in this town. Look at these beautiful stars. I wanna drive a faster car. Nothing can break me, no, nothing can break me. Try not to hold me down. Feel alive when I'm in this town. Look at these beautiful stars. I wanna take a trip to Mars. Nothing can break me, no, nothing can break me. Look at these beautiful stars. I wanna drive a faster car. I'm gonna be myself, I'm gonna be someone else. I'm gonna be myself, I'm gonna be someone else. I'm gonna skip my breaks, I'm gonna make mistakes. I'm gonna skip my breaks, I'm gonna make mistakes. Try not to hold me down. Feel alive when I'm in this town. Look at these beautiful stars. I wanna drive a faster car. Nothing can break me, no, nothing can break me. Try not to hold me down. Feel alive when I'm in this town. Look at these beautiful stars. I wanna
I
take
don't
a
think we
trip
are
to
affecting
Mars.
his
Nothing can break me.
his eyelid. We were lucky. Lockie, we were lucky.
It's my lucky season. That's what you don't know about me. It's time for lucky. Yes.
Well, the good thing is like I did what I told you. Like I approach it from the outside.
So best case scenario.
Yes, exactly.
Fantastic.
I think we have removed 100% of the cyst, so it should come back.
Will you use stitches to close?
Yes,
Super.
very very small stitches.
About to leave, already packing. Come with me, I'm not really asking. We'll get away to a place where we don't know. About to see the world in action, what we can be, life with no distractions. We'll get away, this is what we waited for. Take my hand, we'll make it somehow. We can't miss out. I'm done living life with the lights out, die with my own doubts. Be as a cliche. We're on the run. This is what we waited for. Take my hand, we'll make it somehow. We can't miss out. I'm done living life with the lights out. Die with my own doubts. Be free with me. Be free. Be free with me. Be free.
Swollen, yes.
Yeah, well, that's most of because of the local anesthetic.
Ah,
Yeah, so it's really the local anesthetic. That's when it's too much. So it doesn't get